In this video, we will show you how to replace your ignition coil on this Dodge Dakota. The process will be the exact same thing for any of the coils. Let's get into it. Okay friends, let's get started over on the passenger side of the vehicle. You're going to find the air filter box. On the air filter box, you'll find that you have 3 clips holding the top down. Use a flat blade screwdriver or a small pry bar to separate those. Once you have that broken free, you can separate this air filter box. Move along to where the air filter inlet leads to the air intake. You'll find that you have an 8mm headed clamp. You can also use a flathead screwdriver. You don't need to remove the clamp, just loosen it up that you can pull the hose off. Now once you have that separated, you're also going to want to remove the breather hose from the air box. We'll go ahead and give that a little tug. Set this aside. Disconnect your air temp sensor. Every time you disconnect an electrical connector, take a peek. If you see any funny colors, that's corrosion and it would need to be dealt with. Continue on with a 10mm. We're going to remove this bolt and then we can remove the air inlet from the top of the engine. Go ahead and grab onto this. We're going to give it a little wiggle straight up along the front and then pull it out diagonally away from the engine. Now at this point, you have clear access to whichever ignition coil you're going to be replacing. Now we can move along to removing the electrical connector. Along the top, you'll find that you have a squeeze tab that you can press in and gently pull off the wiring harness. A quick check for corrosion and set it aside. Now you can move along to your spark plug wire. Go ahead and grab onto that, give it a little twist, and try to break it free from the coil. It's important to check that for corrosion as well. Now we can remove the ignition coil. On this, you'll find that you have one 10mm headed bolt holding it in place. Remove that bolt. At this point, you can take hold of the ignition coil. We're going to give it a little wiggle and lift it up and out of the engine. There it is, friends. Okay, friends, let's prepare to install our brand new ignition coil. When you do this, it's a good idea to use a little bit of dielectric grease right along this bottom boot area. Take the ignition coil and put it in place, making sure that you align the boot with the top of the spark plug and your mounting bolt with the top of the intake. Snug that mounting bolt and then torque it to 9 foot-pounds. Now it's time to reconnect our spark plug wire. Let's also use a little bit of dielectric grease on this. Put it in place on your ignition coil. Listen for a click and give it a tug to make sure it's completely secured. Continue on to your wiring harness. Slide that into place and listen for a click. Make sure that's secured as well. Let's reinstall this. Slide it into place, align your mounting bolt hole, and start in the mounting bolt. With that started in by hand, go ahead and snug it up. Now it's time for the air temp sensor. Listen for a click, make sure it's secure. Now we can put on the air inlet tube with the upper air filter box. You'll find that you have several tabs on the upper air filter box, and you have corresponding slots along the bottom of the air filter box. Let's get those aligned and slide this into place. Once you have those in there, go ahead and bring this down and latch in your 3 locking clips. Resecure your air inlet tube. Make sure it's aligned properly and tighten your 8mm headed clamp. Move along to your breather tube. At this point, you just want to double check everything's secured. You don't want any dirty or unmetered air making its way into the engine. Okay friends, we showed you how to install one of your ignition coils. At this point, go ahead and hop into the passenger compartment and start your engine. Let it run for a little while and make sure you don't have a check engine light. After that, take it for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.